All right, so this is discussion with my buddy Keith, just about this artist named S.U.N out of Chicago.
No, he's out
Went to
of
Detroit.
well, technically Ypsilanti, Michigan, but yeah, Detroit, Metro Detroit, but yeah.
All right, so this is dude that you hit me up to. He's hella dope, named S.U.N. So we're gonna have a little discussion about him.
Yes.
All right.
Cool. Cool. So we're gonna talk about one of his albums. It's called Art of S.U.N. So there shouldn't be a glare. So that's the CD cover. It's a cover of S.U.N on the front and like a painting easel behind him. So he's the portrait, and in the back is the three different easels. With the track listing of the songs and the portraits. So the credits. Yeah, this album is where do I begin? So S.U.N stands for Scientific Universal Noncommercial. He hails out of Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is like I'm gonna say maybe 30, 45 minutes outside of Detroit.
Okay.
So when you go out, so it's Metro Detroit. Basically, when you say Metro Detroit, that's the city surrounding Detroit. So basically, Ann Arbor is Metro Detroit. Ypsilanti, where he's from, Metro Detroit. You
Okay.
know, so stuff like that. Pontiac, all Metro Detroit. So yeah, it's not too far away. So
So how,
Eastern Michigan University is the big college out of Ypsilanti. But
okay.
yeah, so S.U.N, he's from Ypsi. It's, that's the nickname of it. And he's an MC. This record it has a hip hop, jazz, African rhythm, tribalistic feel to the production.
Okay.
That's one of the best ways I could describe it.
How'd you find out about this dude?
Uh, Actually, I was introduced to him years ago when I was a DJ out of Oakland University in Michigan. Uh, WXOU is the radio station, college radio.
Right on.
And I was introduced to him from mutual acquaintance Mark Kemp. And I guess he gave me like some of S.U.N's earlier work, like the album Shining Underground, his first record. And I really liked it. So I said, well, have him come through. I'll interview him on the radio station. And we did that. I interviewed him on my show and
So
also
what?
videotaped it as well.
So was that the clip I saw online on your YouTube
Yeah,
page?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's
So,
dope.
but it's funny because I interviewed him and that was his first solo record. He used to be in a group called UBU
Okay.
with Brother Brown. They did like, I think, one album or two, but they're on cassette. And then he went solo. So Shining Underground was his first solo record. Uh, he was signed to a label called Federation Records. That label went under, and he kept it moving though.
That's right on.
His label called Black Soul on Vinyl. But yeah, so that interview that you saw off of Clef Science Television on YouTube, that's me interviewing him off of his first album. But the live footage I filmed was off of his second album, School of Thought.
Okay. Okay. I liked how that was, and I like how it had like the clips and stuff of the live concert and stuff like that,
Cool,
and the
thanks. Yeah,
audience feeling them and stuff. So it was really cool. And then,
yeah,
like I said, it's a trip because you introduced me to him in the first place, and then also you let me check out some of his music. So I think it was like 3 albums. And the thing about it is, all the albums I found they were dope for sure. But it was like that third one that really, kind of sat with me. So that's the one we're going to talk about today.
yeah,
But it's just like, that
yeah,
dude, like I said, from that interview, he's very conscious dude, very aware, which is cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
even his vibe is kind of throwback MC. You know what I mean? Like they kind of put it all on the mic. Like if you just do a straight interview, they might just be kind of reserved or kind of say whatever. But when you go listen to their albums, you're like, oh, okay. Like how Big Daddy Kane was. Like
Yeah,
talking to him, be like, just or Rakim.
yeah,
And then when you hear that album, you'd be like, wait, what? You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
But so he just his vibe in general just kind of remind me of those old school MCs. Even though he, you know, did talk a lot and did kind of explain and kind of go through stuff. It just kind of, that his vibe was just like those like true MCs from like back in the day.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. Um, like I said, I was a fan when I interviewed him because I liked what he heard. Because it didn't hit me till later that out of the Detroit MCs
Mm-hmm.
or the MCs from Michigan, you know, the Detroit, Metro Detroit area, that he he stood out the same way Slum Village stands out with Jay Dillon and his production.
Yeah.
Sun stands out with his production crew and what he does. And I didn't realize it until like I think maybe this very moment when I'm talking to you. I mean, I knew I liked what he was doing,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, everything about who he is and how he comes across and how he delivers and performs, it just stands out. But yeah, but the production, especially lyrically, because nobody, with the exception of his colleague, one man army, aka One Below, to me, nobody but those two were being very uh, aware and conscious, you know, lyrically speaking, because you know, in the late '90s, well, hell, probably mid to late '90s, it all became about being a gangster. It became, you know, the flavor. It's, you know, I'm from the streets. I got guns. I got women.
Right.
You know, and that's, you know, a few people can do that and you like it, but when everybody started doing it, you're just like, okay, I'm done.
Especially if it's not authentic either. You kind of
Yeah,
can tell like, all right,
yeah,
you know, what
right,
else you got?
right. And when I heard his first record, Shining Underground, and the song Thug, True Heart Underground, I'm like, oh, he's different. He's not just talking about being a thug. He's talking about talking about the underground. He's also talking about spirituality and Afrofuturism. You know, he was laying seeds for that. I don't even know if he was aware that he was doing that yet.
Yeah.
But you get to that. By the time you get to Art of S.U.N, you can see that. You can see the Afrofuturism, you know, laying itself out within that record, the spirituality, and, you know, and talking about, because when I first heard this album, I loved it, but there were certain songs that I liked the most.
Mm-hmm.
But once I, you know, turned you onto this record and I went back to revisit it, it's funny because now I enjoy the whole album even more so than I did years ago. Every song. Whereas before I would skip a song here and there. I enjoy every song now on the album. I swallow the whole album as a. I mean, he was always doing concept records.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't really hit me to this record.
Yeah, yeah. To me, that's why it's like the whole thing just kind of gelled to me. So I really like that flow about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you know, he reminds me of one of KRS-One's kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Chuck D. And Rakim.
Also Tupac and all of them too.
Yeah,
especially
yeah. Listen, you're right. Huh?
When he was on his conscious tip, you know, Tupac was kind of like all over the place. But when he did these songs about, you know, the Panthers and loving each other and all that kind of stuff, and got a baby, all that conscious stuff, then
you know, and I missed that. I missed that Tupac. I missed that. Well, that's the one no one talks about, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so with Art of S.U.N, it just, it's, you know, with the intro, and he's got the like ethereal, you know, vibe where he's talking, he's narrating about what the Art of S.U.N means.
Right.
You know, I had some notes I wrote about that too, where he talks about elevation through evolution, determination, blessings, gifts, the inevitable. You know, then he thanks God, and all that is just, and that's just the, you know, and it's just, it's like when you hear his voice and the effect on it, you know, you hear the atmospherics in the background, and it's kind of like, I felt like I might have been like on a spaceship, you know, going somewhere and had my headphones on, and he's getting me ready for my flight. You know, and that's what just the intro of the album, you know, and then it goes into Sunrise, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, and his name is Sun, and he's like, here we go, you know, we're waking up, the sun is here, let's get it. And I like that. And you hear the harmonies of the female vocalist in the background singing. It's a great way to start the record.
Yeah, I really thought it was a strong start too. I like how, like I said, that like the intro gives you the breakdown of who he is and what it means and the words that kind of you would associate with what he's saying or who he's about. I thought that was pretty dope. And man, he got some dope bars. And it's funny because he reminded me of different artists like Most Def and stuff like that, where it's very organic, got their own kind of flow and going about it, but kind of doing it their way and giving you like consciousness without it being force fed or sounding a little too typical. You know what I mean? So he's one of those kind that you could really enjoy it and listen to it like chilling or whatever, or even at a party damn near, and you're getting something out of it. You don't even notice it because it's flowing so smooth with those beats. Because
I agree.
and some of that stuff is like CL Smooth, like some Pete Rock and all that kind of stuff is kind of beats and the kind of flow and it sounds like a summer day. So they definitely like vibe songs, like like you said, transportative. They take you somewhere else, and you're like, man, this is smooth.
Yeah.
And so hearing that nowadays is so rare. And I'm a sucker for scratching. So when I hear any kind of scratching and stuff in songs, like that's why I still love DJ Quick, because he still throws some scratches in there. People don't fool with that anymore, but that's an art. And I think when you have something like Richard Pryor scratching in the background or something else that's relevant to what the artist is saying, but from a different time, just kind of backing up what they're saying because you got that sound, that voice, that whatever coming in, mixing in the middle of what you're doing, I think that takes it to another level too. So I like that the artist scratch is definitely still, he incorporates that in his song, at least in this album, in this whole album, for sure. But
Yeah, I agree.
but
And, and
it's
speaking
good balance.
and speaking of Richard Pryor, he's got the song called Black Economics, which was
Right,
a single
exactly.
off the record, and you hear that sample,
Yeah, that's
just
made
seeing
me
it
think of
all
that.
people, and that was from Richard Pryor when he went to Africa,
Right.
you know, and he said, I saw all these beautiful black people and I realized there were no niggas,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So, and to hear that sample and, for someone to talk about, the culture
Mm-hmm.
and, being business minded and what we've done in the past and those traditions that we should keep, black economics, where you get your money at, where you spend your money at,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the fish fries and playing the numbers and how we used to empower ourselves and, talking about keeping that, reminiscing about it and saying we need to keep that.
Mm-hmm.
No one was talking about that.
Right.
So, well, I mean, other MCs are talking about.
Well, yeah, they were, but then like I said, he has his own way, surely, of
Yeah,
how he
yeah,
expresses himself with
yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Yeah, where I'm from, no one was talking about that but him. I'll say
yeah, that's
that.
fair.
Yeah, but like you said, he has his own way, and the other cats who do talk about it. But yeah, so that's a great song too. The production is interesting, and it wasn't until I like opened up the liner notes and read the production. I don't know why I just assumed this whole album was produced by one team, but it's not. But that's how you know it's a really great album production wise when there's various producers, but it all flows together.
Yeah, I thought they probably would have been different, only because some of the songs are really different. But like I said, they flow together. But they are some real, like I said, if you going from different, like more jazzy stuff to, like I said, almost like some summer smooth, like I said, Pete Rock kind of beats to,
Yeah.
it's kind of like all over the place. But maybe sonically they probably are well connected. The reason why they flow so well, but then also, his words just kind of tying it all together as well. You
Yeah.
know, so it's not like
Yeah.
he's talking about booty shaking on one and then consciousness on the next. Because he could have the same
No.
producer and you'd be like, that don't feel like the same vibe. So
Right.
the fact
Right.
that he's keeping like on point that whole album, because
Yeah.
usually people don't have, what do you have? How many songs? Like 16, 17, 30 songs on there?
Let me get my
I know,
read.
I know he got a lot. I know he got a lot of songs on there.
Looks like 19.
To have 19 songs and they all the same
Yeah.
kind of vibe consistently is not an easy thing. So to
Yeah.
have that much in you, because usually somebody has like 2 or 3 conscious, and the next thing you know, they're going back to silliness. But his was the whole time was different aspects of consciousness and kind of I guess how his vibe would be about like family connecting and all this other kind of stuff, being aware of surroundings and things like that. That are really is a guide, a survival guide. you know, just how to skip
Yeah.
all the nonsense of the world, especially in
Yeah.
today's world, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like
And
Dr.
it's,
Stay be on wax or something.
oh yeah. And it's great too because it's like, when you listen to the record, he's just, I mean, he's talking about definitely just be aware,
Hmm.
know what's going on, know what's really going on. Look at these people who say they're in charge, question them.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, and I love that about this record, and it's weird because this record's a few years old, and this is his third album. He's about to put out his ninth album soon. So
Wow.
this album, it stands the test of time already.
Yeah.
You listen to, Give Me Understanding, which was one of my favorite songs. My first two favorite songs on this record were always Art of S.U.N. and Give Me Understanding.
Those are
And they go
dope.
after each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, when he talks about the red, white, and blue stands for atheists, the government be on some Satan shit, you can
Yeah.
see it when they spit.
Yeah.
And we going through COVID, and
Yeah.
we going through, who's in charge. And I'm like, wow,
Man, on that Give Me Understanding, man, he had me tripping out when he talking about keeping God a mystery instead of trying to figure out why you're stuck in misery. I'm like, okay.
yeah, yeah, man. Right? Yeah.
And that's just like and that's not even like the biggest bar necessarily in the song, but to just drop something like that, like that's a regular line for him. That's
Yeah.
the trip. So it's like you better just you gotta be on point listening because
Yeah, man.
that's a casual bar. That's not like no ending punchline. Like he could have ended
Yeah.
the song with that, but he started off with that. That was closer to the beginning of the song. So
Yeah. And that song, it's like it's like a hip hop symphony thing going on there.
mhm,
Cause you got the strings in the background. He's like,
yeah,
I'm asking God, give me understanding, no contract, no
yeah,
expensive house.
right, right,
And MCs never talk like that.
yeah,
Never. It's always, I got the contract, I got the expensive house. Even when they don't. And
right,
it's just
right,
like, what is this? It's just like, it's almost like he's like a hip hop Job for a second. Like, you
mhm,
know, make me understand, why am I not where I want to be? But I know I got the talent. What am I missing?
right,
But
right.
it's interesting because it's all right there.
Yeah, yeah,
And he just reminded me that, once again, like I said, this album to me is relevant today.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And then also with the artisan on that song, what stood out to me, he made a comment about like don't drink the dirty water because you know the devil tainted.
Look at that. Ain't that right? From Flint in the water. And this is before that.
That's just
I
like,
put that down in my notes today.
yeah,
That's same page, bro.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
just like like I said, those are like his, and that's like typical for him. The bars like that are typical. That's somebody else's. Like they would have that bar and then write a whole song around it so they could just end on that. And he just had that throughout the songs, bars like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, one of those albums that you just kind of keep listening to over and over again just to get
Yeah.
a feel of it. But
Yeah.
and then I like that song, Old School.
Yeah.
And he made a quote in there talking about something about you can't forge God's signature.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like I said, he's always just kind of on point with that kind of stuff. So I love how it's kind of it's spiritual, it's hip hop, so I like that. I like that combination. So, it says a lot about him, and it says a lot that he's stuck with that and not kind of shied away from it. Because like I said, sometimes people just do a conscious song here and there, and the rest is back to the old BS. So I thought it was kind of dope that he really just kind of sticks to that, and it works. It works. Like I said, it doesn't feel like you're getting beat over the head with anything or
He's
being
not being preachy at
preached
all.
to or nothing like that.
Nope.
He just speaking his truth. And I think that's the best way to present something like that, is to have it where you coming from an authentic place. Therefore, when you present, people are not trying to duck or dodge it or try to, over critique it. Because if he was talking some other mess, they would quickly question what he was saying when it came to that kind of stuff. Like, well, you're not living that, so what are you doing talking it? So I
Right.
think it's cool that he's consistent. And so if anybody's wondering about what he's saying, or do he believe it, or does he walk that talk, consistency proves that. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
definitely.
pretty dope.
and when I'm listening to the record, especially like in my car, I feel like I see visions of him, like sometimes in the classroom as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
just talking to the class. Sometimes he's sitting next to me in my car, just like the, what you said about the water.
Mm-hmm.
I want to don't drink that dirty water because you know the devil tainted.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm in my car, he might be sitting next to me saying that to me as I'm driving.
Right. Right. Right.
Just different scenes.
Right.
Sometimes, like when Give Me Understanding, I could see like him in church at the
Mm-hmm.
podium just saying that.
Right. Right.
The crowd
Exactly.
gets up like, Give Me Understanding.
Right. Right.
Just different visions. So he's an MC and he's got these many different facets of himself. And you
Mm-hmm.
hear it in the song, in the album, within the songs, and that's
Yeah.
cool. He's not an MC who's just one way or
Yeah.
should be just looked at this way. He
Yeah.
shows you all the many different facets of himself as a man,
Right.
as
Right. Right.
an MC, and I
Right.
think that's cool
Yeah.
because you don't. There's other cats who give you just one way, and you accept that. Like I look at Chuck D as one way, but I love that way. I look at Public Enemy as one way. I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck D's one of my favorite MCs of all time. Sam and Kara one. I see them one way. Um, but like I said, but that way works for me. I look at Snoop the same way, one way, but it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other MCs I think that you see the different facets, and I think he's definitely one of them. And of course, he's someone who came after these people, and of
Mm-hmm.
course they've influenced him, and that's
Right.
it.
Right.
So it's all connected. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because
And
I'm
then another one I like is I think it's called Something in the Air.
oh yeah with Jason Barry.
And he was talking
Yeah,
about ghetto math have you subtracting, but I got a message blessed by God.
yeah,
So I love that.
yeah,
So because I'm always like believing like people either add and subtracting from you as a person, from your life and things like that. Either people add to you or they don't. It's almost keep it
yeah,
simple like that. Otherwise,
yeah,
you get tied into who they are or titles and things like that, and it's just bad math. It doesn't add up to the correct thing for you. So sometimes it's just go about simply, do they add to your life or take away from your life? And if you're smart, things that take away from your life you get rid of or
right,
have a safe distance to, and things that are positive adding to your life, you bring more of that in. So
yeah,
talking about that ghetto math, like that nonsense is subtracting you, and it is. It could take away your life. It could take away blessings that you have coming your way, fooling around with foolishness. So stuff like I said, man. So like, thank you for introducing me to this to this dude one, and
it's
and
my pleasure,
and
man.
especially this album. Like I said, because there's just so much so much going on with it for sure. It's a trip. It's a
I
really
agree.
a trip.
Thanks. I'm glad you like it, man. He's got a good following. Now it's just time for the world to see who he is.
No, right on, right
So
on.
yeah. So and with today's technology, that's gonna happen. The shiny underground's about to come to the surface. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the new record that he's doing. But I'm just like I said, I'm glad that you know I sent the record to you and you liked it and you got me to
Mm-hmm.
to go back to it again because it's rare for me to have even more of an appreciation for an album that I already liked.
Yeah,
And I have even more of an appreciation for this record now than what I did before. And I already loved it because now, like I said, I look at the entirety of it and I love the whole thing. So
mm-hmm.
there isn't a bad song on the album to me. And that's rare because, there's so many artists that I love and I can't always say that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
a lot of times they may have an album here and there where I feel that way about, but it's rare for a record to really, to be that for me, where every song I like.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man. And like I said, and with me being older, it's kind of like funny how like I don't really listen to too much silliness anymore in hip hop, especially. Like when I was younger, I could do that, but now that I'm older and you kind of know what the value of life is and your taste change and things like that, it's hard going back to some of that stuff. Now, some of it
Yeah,
you listened to when you were younger, that's always gonna be a part of you. But
yeah,
listen to that new nonsense, I can't do. So
yeah,
I'm listening to like even newer albums by older artists that I love, like KRS-One or you know or even like the new Tribe Called Quest, or the new I can't think of the name. Even like the Black Eyed Peas' most recent album is kind of going back to that conscious kind of
That's
stuff.
a great record.
You know, this is in line with that kind of stuff. So this is
Yeah,
perfect for me right now because that's the kind of vibe I'm in. I want to hear something
yeah,
that's about kind of like grown men's music, even though
yeah,
this is for
yeah.
everybody at any age. You know, this
We
is
like hip
radio.
hop too. We grew up on it. You know,
Right,
we were the first generation of hip hop.
right, right. So this is it's in line with what the vibe that I'm into right now, especially like with
Yeah.
Grand Poobah, like his
Oh yeah.
recent album, hella on point, you know. So all these
Oh,
people
yeah.
are just, you know, they never left, and I'm glad that they're still putting out albums. But I'm saying this album is up there with those, you know,
I
for
think so
sure.
too. And you know, you know, with Gangstar as well. You know,
Hmm.
it would have
Yeah,
been nice to see him open up for them. You know, because it just seems like that is all that same type of family, native tongues, all that. You know, that kind of vibe. And I agree with you. And
right.
yeah, you know, and it just goes to show you that once again that good music doesn't really have an age. People try to put an age to it, but some stuff doesn't age that gracefully, and other
True.
things do.
That's very true.
That's all I can say. And this album, yeah, you know, I feel like this record's going to be one of those albums that's studied years from now for how good it is, how great it is. You know, like old school jazz records.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and old school, you know, and just classic hip hop albums, classic jazz records that never go away, like John Coltrane's Love Supreme,
Hmm.
you know, or Miles Davis' Bitches Brew,
Hmm.
and, you know, Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full,
Yeah.
you know, it's just the stuff like that.
Well, all those albums have a lot of truth in them and stuff, you know. A lot of them, like the old, you know, Boogie Down Production stuff, all that stuff,
Oh,
old
by all means
Rakim,
necessary,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah, so
It's
all
like
that stuff.
you can't get to Art of S.U.N without getting to By All Means Necessary
Hmm.
and Fear of a Black Planet. Those records
Woo.
lead to Art of S.U.N.
Right,
There's a direct correlation as far as I'm concerned, you
right,
know.
right.
And maybe Gangstar's Moment of Truth, you know, I don't know.
Right, right. But
Stuff like that. Huh?
it's funny how like nowadays nobody want to pay homage or say where they're influenced by, which that's a strength if anything. You know, only time you
Yeah,
should have an issue about bringing up what you're inspired by is if you're copying it too much. Now, if you done jumped off of it, you used it as a place to start, then you should be proud and okay with talking about that. But I notice how people don't want to say nothing at all, but that's probably because they're directly biting and they don't want nobody to see what they stole from. But if you were
right.
just inspired by it, there's no problem saying I was
No,
inspired by blah, blah, blah,
no.
because, you know, if you wouldn't go listen to that, you could see how it's not an exact copy of it, but it is in that same vein. So it's just
Yeah,
funny how, you know, people get real sensitive and you know, they'll talk about every artist except for the artists who they directly are influenced by.
yep.
It's always funny to hear that kind of, you know, sidestepping when you know you sound exactly like blah blah blah, and that's you talking about everybody in the world around them. You know, you could be a
Yeah,
gangster rapper and you'll mention Earth, Wind, and Fire before you say Tupac.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
a problem.
yeah. Because now you're looking suspect. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
So,
Oh yeah, I mean, so you know, usually when I rate a record, you know, I go from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Um, Years ago, I would have gave this record like an 8 or a
mm,
7.5. Today, I give it a 10. I give it a 10. Like I said, for me, you know, I feel like when the source had to go back and reevaluate JC's Reasonable Doubt,
mm,
you know, and give it 5 mics. You know, if this was in the source, you know, like I said, if I was a part of the source, I'd give it 5 mics. But for me, it's Captain Keith. I give it a 10. Yeah, yeah. And I can my favorite songs, and I'm gonna let's see. Uh, so uh, Black Economics, Give Me Understanding, Art of S.U.N, um, Blaze a Path, uh, Hopeless, Something in the Air, Super Scientific, and Catch a Vibe. It's most of the album, but the whole album I love. But yeah, uh, yep,
yeah, I love the whole album too, man. Like I said, the whole thing is a journey, and very few albums ever, especially nowadays, have out you know, or albums like that. Like when I think of albums I could play all the way through, I think of like you know, America's Most Wanted, maybe DLC, No One Could Do It Better. Um,
That's good company, bro.
you
That's
know,
a big statement.
because a lot of albums don't be consistent like that. I'm trying to think. I got a few albums like that, but when I think
But not
about
too
hip
many.
hop and
I'm
stuff
the
like
same
that.
way. Huh?
Hmm? What was that?
I said, but not too many, and I'm the same way. There's a few albums like that. Like I could listen to Public Enemy's favorite Black Planet all the way through, like
Hmm.
every time,
Yeah,
like every time. It's one
yeah.
of my favorite albums of all time. Same with By All Means Necessary. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of albums that I love. I can't. From some of my favorite artists. I
Right,
can't listen all the way through.
right,
But,
right.
but that doesn't. But that's no strike against them
No,
because
no, not at all, not at
yeah,
all. I was like that with Black Eyed Peas' first album, um,
yeah,
with Karma and all the rest of those songs. It's just like a vibe, and I think it's like it's not an easy thing to do, and you know, so I think a lot of people don't even try. But you talk
yeah.
about just an album you could just kind of flow all the way through. Like I said, when you first shared it with me, I was instantly a fan,
That's cool.
and kept just kind of going back to it. I'm like, yeah. And like I said, I loved all the other albums as well, but this one had just sat with me different. I'm like, yeah,
That's cool,
we
man.
talk, it'd be about this one because this was the one that really,
And by the way, so you can get this record on Amazon. Um, you can order it from there. You have to type in S period, U period, N period, and then in parentheses, scientific universal non-commercial. And then his records will come up, his CDs. Um, yeah, MP3 and physical CD. And you can also get it from a website called Long Range Distribution that has his whole catalog on CD
no.
there as well. LongRangeDistribution.com and of course Amazon. Um, the Art of S.U.N, though, however, for streaming, seems to be on Amazon on Prime, well, Amazon Unlimited Music. So you have to pay to hear that
Oh,
album off of that one.
okay.
Um, I don't know if it's on Spotify or Tidal. I don't have Spotify or Tidal, but I will say, uh, more than likely before the year is out, his whole catalog will be on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah. And if people dig it, then, you know, just buy a hard copy too. Cause really,
Yeah,
streams and stuff is good, but, buying like, merch if it's available or hard
yeah.
copies of an album and stuff, that's really letting the artists know that
Oh
you are
yeah.
feeling them, and they get that money directly. So
Here's what you get when you get a physical CD. You get that. You get liner notes. You get production credit. You get photos. You get everything you can't get from digital.
right,
Digital's cool, but everything has its place. It's all about the balance. And
right.
for me, if I really like it, I have to have it physically in my hand because I feel like if it's not in my hand, did it really exist? I
Yeah.
need proof.
And
This
then
is
also,
proof. This album exists. This is proof.
and also it's like a deeper insight, and then all that stuff is thought out to go along with it. So it's even the packaging is part of the message as well.
Yeah.
And even if it's albums that I have digitally, I'll still just buy it to support, just so I can
Right.
have it. If I don't open it up, and I might use the
Right.
convenience of digital to play it everywhere I go, I still
Right.
got that CD. I still got that record. I could throw in my record player or throw in my CD
Right.
player when I'm at home,
Yeah.
just to be like, okay, I got this, But
Oh
like I
yeah.
said,
Definitely.
I really love the album. Like I said, it's really dope. And your clip that you have, I'll put a link. Um,
Oh, to the
I'll put
concert.
a link to the concert from your YouTube page, and then also any other kind of
Thanks.
links that we could add that kind of make it easier for people to find them. We'll just add that as well.
Yeah, and that concert is basically off of his second record called School of Thought. Well, you already had that one too.
Mm.
So, and the songs off that album, and that's with prime numbers. So that's some gold footage. So yeah, well, cool, man. And you surprised me when you said you wanted to review the record. I was like, wow, okay,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't mind talking about things that's worth talking about.
right? You ain't never
so
lied. Yeah, you ain't never lied.
so I
But
thought it
yeah,
was dope.
um,
But I'm
but
glad to have your insight because I know that I wouldn't have known. Matter of fact, I wouldn't have known about him. Period. And then also, and it's unfortunate that I wouldn't come across, because as much as I like hip hop and stuff, it's unfortunate that I wouldn't just accidentally come across him. So one, I wouldn't have known or came across him without pulling my ear about it. But then also all the insight about the connections, the people, the producers, people that's connected to it, their place in history. from their city and town and stuff like that. That kind of insight, man, that can only come from you anyway, or somebody who's from there. So
Right.
to have that extra insight, that's hey, that's
Oh
a
yeah.
bonus. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. And yeah, and he put all these records out himself, Black Soul on vinyl records, with distribution from other people from another company. But yeah, like I said, for those of you watching who like this review, you can get it. You can get Art of S.U.N on Amazon Prime. Actually, yeah. I mean, you can get it on Amazon.com, that CD or the MP3, and you can get the physical CDs, all of them, off of LongRangeDistribution.com. Definitely. But like I said, before it's over and done with, you're going to see some more stuff from him. You're going to see his whole catalog available everywhere. I'm excited with this being the year 2020. Today's technology, independent underground artists like himself can go further on their own without any real middleman. They can reach more people now through social media, through Bandcamp, and through the streaming platforms, and through stuff like what we're doing right now. So.
And what else the world is definitely primed for now is the fact with all the craziness that's going on, people are really I think they're getting snapped out of that craziness of not listening to good information, not eating right, not being around positive things. I think people are getting hit so hard that they have to reassess what they're taking in and what they're listening to. So somebody before that, it might be like, man, I ain't trying to hear all that. With the whooping that the world is kind of giving us, I think they're more prone to really open up and take in information that's really going to make their lives easier, or give them some kind of insight of what's going on, because the veil has been over many of us for way too long. So when you do have that veil removed, you need some, raw organic food. You need raw organic information. You need raw organic music. You need raw organic people to fill you, because you've been so starved with all the junk for so long that you're going to be hungry for truth. You're going to be hungry for consciousness. You're going to be hungry for awareness. So to have this on the plate of the things that you can feed yourself with now that you're open is prime time.
I agree, and I can say about the Art of S.U.N is a record that is about space and time, spirituality, love. Be wary and aware of dirty politics and of the government you live under. Life itself, pain. I mean, he even talks about, having a past that isn't necessarily, that was in the streets, and evolving from that. It's about evolution as well. Family, marriage, love. I mean, yeah, family, marriage. I mean, so it's about all those things. The supernatural. It's about, yeah. I mean, that album embodies and encompasses all those things. Economics. Yeah. It's a well-rounded record. It happens to be hip hop. There you go.
Like I said, I loved it, and like I said, thank you again for like I said, introducing me to it. Because like I said, I know I wouldn't have came across it. It's definitely an album that I would suggest to anybody who loves hip hop, who loves just good music.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Art of S.U.N, dope. Very dope.
Definitely. Check it out, pick it up. It's like I said, you can get it physically or you can get it the MP3s. You can do both. It's there. So.
Right on. Well, all right. Well, Keith. Oh, go ahead.
One more thing. I'm sorry. So he's got a new album coming out soon called Radiant Room. So, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you so we can review that when it comes out. So yeah, S.U.N is back on the scene. Every blue moon he'll take some time off, and then he'll come back, and because when you make a concept album, a lot of times you just can't wake up and say, oh, I'm gonna do this concept record. It's gotta come to you. You gotta feel it. When you're someone who's writing music, it's all you can't force it. It's gotta be, you have to be inspired.
Right.
So what are you about to say?
That's it. Yeah, that's right. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Can't rush good art.
Yep. So he's gonna come back. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting down, just having this conversation. This is right on, man. We need more albums like this. We need more discussions about art that needs to be spoken about, because sometimes, it's really hard to get art out there with so much noise, and it's not necessarily always about quality. It's just there's so much stuff out there that even good stuff is hard for it to shine. So discussions and thinking about and supporting is the only way things like that is going to really rise above all the noise.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right on. It was my pleasure, man. Thank you for, just reigniting my, my love for this record, and, having me go back and re-examine it myself, to
Right on.
discover I like it even more than I did over 5, 10 years ago.
Beautiful.
So
All right. So on
that's
that
cool.
note, till next time.
Yep. Well, see you somewhere out in space.
Peace.